Oh, we are at maximum toxicity. We are sipping on our opponent's salty tears. Question of the day. What would you do if you were wizards to fix or improve alchemy? Let me know in the comments below. Ladies and gentlemages, civilians across the multiverse, welcome back to another episode of Man, and today we've got a juicer for you. We've got Trapfinder loot featuring Goblin Trapfinder. Now this is a cute little card here. When it dies, seek a creature card with mana value 3 or less. That card perpetually gains haste, but it costs 2 less to cast, and then at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this creature. Now, why is this good? Now, this, if you've been playing Alchemy, you know that this deck is kind of out and about. I have been seeing it lately here. This is kind of my spin on it. I definitely think this is not super creative, but I definitely want to showcase it. A lot of people are going to be upset. Man, come on, this deck is toxic. Why are you doing this? In my opinion is, look, it's mostly Wizards' fault for allowing this to happen, and it is unfortunate as an Alchemy stan, because I do like Alchemy, but when they have stuff like this, it's very toxic, and it's unfortunate. I don't like that this deck exists, but I'm still making a deck on it because it's still a part of Magic history. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, let's go ahead and dig into why this deck is so formidable. When this dies, so we have Village Rites and Deadly Dispute. So whenever this dies, we go ahead and get what? The Archlich here, or the Ominous Traveler here, and then we pretty much want to be able to make them free to cast. So if you get the Ominous Traveler here for 2, it becomes 0. So it's literally free to cast. And then if you get the A-Acererak the Archlich here, it costs 1 black. Now, we can further create more loopage here if you have Racketeer Boss, because this card is absolutely kind of broken. I kind of hate this card too, that it exists. It's just poor format, but we're not getting into that. This is just the formality of it. Racketeer Boss, whenever it enters the battlefield, choose 2 creatures in your hand, and then whenever you cast the spell, create a treasure token. So if you can get the Ominous Traveler to 0 with the Goblin Trapfinder and a treasure token, you're literally increasing your mana ability, but you're gaining mana by casting this via treasure tokens. It's literally insane. Same thing with the Archlich here. If you just cast this thing, especially once you include Birgi and Cabaretti Revels to it, you can literally go infinite. These are infinite loops. Again, terrible for the game, but it is a part of the game, so hopefully they do something about this, because even if it's not the most consistent, this is better than Grinning Ignis in the sense that it's not as consistent, I don't believe. But it is still annoying, and it is pretty toxic, so let's go ahead and see what we can do here with these infinite loops. Before we get into the gameplay, make sure to leave a like. The button looks just like this. Helps out the channel tremendously. Go ahead and subscribe if you have not already. And without further ado, let's get ready to vanquish some enemies. X, how are we doing here? Let's go ahead and keep this. We do have a Dina Soul Steeper. We only running 1, but I really like this. I'm actually thinking about kicking this up to a 2. So let's go ahead and give our opponent a friendly little hello here. We can go ahead and drop the Goblin Trapfinder, but I think it's just more important to get this Proving Ground, which does come in tapped, which is, pretty unfortunate, but we're in this for the combo, not for, the tempo. So I think we'll go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and drop this for black is fine, and then it kind of becomes, do you want to go for the Goblin Trapfinder or the Prosperous Innkeeper? I think we're going to go for the Innkeeper first, and then go for Goblin Trapfinder with our treasure token here. That's a pretty gosh darn good combo here. Now we get to gain life again. That Dina Soul Steeper is going to really come in handy once we start storming, and hopefully we can go infinite. And if you got an infinite loop with Dina Soul Steeper and the Innkeeper out, that is pretty much just good game. So let's see what we're playing as. Is this typically just Rakdos? Let's see what they're playing against. Wouldn't exactly love an Undercity Plunder here. So Sanguine Brushstroke, this is actually really good. So the Sanguine Brushstroke typically builds up like a decent board, and it just kind of pales in comparison to our deck, just being honest with you. So we're gonna take a 1 damage from the Blood Artist here, get drained a little bit, but as long as we keep this Innkeeper, I don't really care. We do snag the Racketeer Boss, which is wicked unfortunate because we don't get a discount that way. So I guess we are going to drop the Racketeer Boss. We typically want to play this on something else, so I guess we're just going to, now let's do the Trapfinder, because this isn't even, we don't get a discount or anything on it, so I'm actually just going to go for Deadly Dispute. We're going to do this right now. So we're going to go ahead and get popped by the Blood Artist. I really don't care that much. We're going to gain enough land. And here we get one of our cards that we actually want. We get that Archlich. And that is going to be great here. So this does come back to our hand. So we can just go ahead and play this now. We play this now, and it does come back to our hand because it would get normally sacrificed. We don't really care here. We're going to go for Dungeon of the Mad Mage past turn. We are up to 22 life, which is going to be very, very helpful in this deck. I think if I was playing their deck, I would use the Blood Tithe Harvester to kill our Innkeeper. We can go and it's weird sliding the Archlich to the left, because typically I always, you know, order my hand from lands to, you know, least expensive to most expensive. So sliding this down for a 1 is kind of funny. So let's say if they kill the Innkeeper, I absolutely would. I mean, gaining life, they have to know that, like, us gaining life is pretty much, you know, gonna take away their win condition here. They want to just drain us as fast as possible. So another Brushstroke. Another Brushstroke is actually pretty scary here. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and drop this for red. And we can go for Cabaretti Revels and then just go for an Archlich. And this is where it gets a little dangerous here. So I think we're going to go for... Alternatively, yeah, this is not good enough. Let's go for the Cabaretti Revels into our 1-drop Archlich here. And that is going to be really, really good. Because it's still counted as a 3-drop, we cast it for 1, and then look at that. We get an Ominous Traveler here. And things are getting a little ominous out in here. So Ominous Traveler here, you typically just want to take the cheapest thing. So we get a Champion of the Parish. That is probably the best card that we can get, because it's cheap and we do get a lot of zombies. And the Archlich is actually a zombie as well. So let's go ahead and scry. I think I would take a land here, an Ominous Traveler. We already have one, so I don't really feel the need to do that. I guess we could have taken it and then go for Racketeer Boss, because getting the Racketeer Boss, giving it the Archlich here, a treasure token whenever you cast it, is how we pretty much continuously loop. So they're going to use these blood tokens. This is pretty much... I don't think they're going to be able to have enough damage output to win the game. They're just not going to be able to get there, I don't feel like. Even with like a Meathook Massacre or something, they could clear the board, and I still don't think that would be enough, honestly. The Blood Tithe Harvester on the Traveler, again, we got rid of our other Traveler here, but I don't really care, because we do have our win condition. The only way that they could maybe disrupt us is if they have like an Infernal Grasp on our Archlich here. And they're going to commit to this Blood Tithe Harvester, and they still could have something here. So it's not over yet, but if they don't have, what, a Voltage Surge, I think we're looking good here. So I'm going to drop the Racketeer Boss here. And this is where it's going to start getting nightmarish for our opponent. We drop this, we get a Goblin Trapfinder, which is our only 1-drop in our deck. They do have, I mean, again, that priority could just be held up by a blood token. So let's see if they want to, I mean, if they tap out, it's either they're using this blood token or they have a Voltage Surge. If they have a Voltage Surge, that's obviously a lot worse. So now we have the Racketeer Boss. I'm going to give this to our Archlich. Obviously, we want to continuously loop with this, so that's going to be the point of it. Let's go ahead and give it the Birgi. Now we're going to, like, if they don't have a Disruption, this is kind of scary, because if they do have Disruption, they can interfere, but actually they can't, because Voltage Surge only does 4 damage. So, like, we have 5 toughness with the Archlich here, and, oh, another boss. With the Cabaretti Revels out, this is going to just get absolutely nightmarish for our opponent. I guess we'll put it on the Champion of the Parish just to make this free. So look at this now. Every single time we cast the Archlich, we get a treasure token. So now it costs 1, and now the unlimited looping begins. So Archlich with the Cabaretti Revels, and it's cheapened. Oh, goodness. Goodness gracious. This is pure toxicity. The toxicity of our city. I think it's a system of a down, right? Yeah. The toxicity of our city of arena. I guess we'll go ahead and keep this. I don't think it even really matters, right? I don't think it really matters here. We're going to be able to go into Dina Soul Steeper here. So let's go ahead and drop Dina. Like I said, if they do have the Voltage Surge, they can get rid of the Dina, which does get rid of our win condition. But we still have this unlimited loop. If they can't break this loop, it's going to be a good game here. And again, I know that this deck is going to, you know, It's not oh, well, let's see. They are targeting it. There it is. There's the Voltage Surge. They're going to be able to get rid of this, and I think we're just going to go for the Village Rites here. We might as well, because again, as long as we have one treasure token, we can still use the Archlich here. So it does suck that they do get rid of our win condition here, but it doesn't really matter here, because again, we have so much life to gain, and we still have this unlimited loop, so it just doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead and drop this. Now they are officially tapped out, and we're just going to keep doing this over and over and over and over. So typically you just want to get the cheapest thing here. I guess we'll just take the Defender Spear. It's not a big deal here. So what do we want to do here? I guess we'll just exile the top two. We may play them. We don't really have any lands here, so I guess we'll just create the tokens here. That is again more land here, and you know, they did get rid of the Dina, which sucks, but like again, we just can just keep doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this, and it's just the loop is just insane. So let's just go ahead and keep doing it. And I know that a lot of people are like, wow, this is toxic, this is this and that, and I agree. I don't think that this deck should exist, just straight up. I really do not. But the point is that it does exist, and as a content creator, we're just gonna go ahead and make this, because we're at least just showcasing it is a part of Magic history, whether you love it or hate it. And again, I hate it. I absolutely hate this deck that it exists. It should not exist, but it does. So we're going to go ahead and use Dungeon of the Mad Mage here, and we just have a bunch of things here. We're going to go for Racketeer Boss. We want to make everything as, as many things as free as we can. So I guess we'll just go ahead and put this again, and we now are creating more treasures for each resolve, and it's just not fair. It's just not. So again, this is going to be able to go infinite, and this is what I was talking about earlier. I think you can run 2 Dina Soul Steepers, because if they get rid of one, they kind of just do this. But at this point, it is what it is. I guess we'll just go for Dungeon of the Mad Mage again, but again, we're just going to be able to go infinite here, and we're going to have these dominating vampires, and eventually with the dominating vampires, we're going to be able to steal them. Can't really do this now. I mean, we can do it for the Bloodtide Harvester, another Cabaretti Revels. At this point, we just have an embarrassment of riches, and we're just kind of playing with our food here. So I guess we can go for another Cabaretti Revels just for fun. Just for fun here. And look how ridiculous this is. This is the epitome of ridiculous. I know this is not really the best content-wise, so I'm trying to be at least a little bit entertaining while I do this, because I know this is not really the most fun to watch. But I guess we'll go ahead and just talk about how toxic this is until the opponent scoops, because they don't really have a way to win. So let's go ahead and drop the Champion of the Parish. I guess this could be our win condition. Create a treasure token here, and we're going to return our Ominous Traveler to our hand. And I think the way that we're going to win this is just by using the Ominous Traveler at some point here. So now we can go for the Racketeer Boss to put the treasure token on both the A-Acererak and the Ominous Traveler here. And by this point, the game is probably just doesn't even know what to do here, because the sound is tapped out. That's what I'm going to start calling it, the sound glitch. The sound glitch is tapped out. And again, I know this is not really the best. If this continues to go too long, I guess I could probably just, edit this out. Maybe just kind of to the end here. Because at this point, I think you kind of understand what is going on here and why it's so crazy here. So let's go ahead and scry 2. It doesn't even really matter here. I'm not really even worried about what is on the top of our deck here. Just going to keep doing this over and over and over until the opponent scoops here. So yeah, we'll go and keep this up 1-1. I think I am going to pass the turn here. I do kind of want to get the show on the road here. We've gained a bazillion different life here. I'm going to go ahead and drop the dominating vampire. We don't have another vampire, unfortunately, but we do have enough mana here. So let's go ahead and pass the turn. Let's go ahead and get the show on the road. Dominating vampire, and we're going to bring you back to the hand. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. And we'll go ahead and do the you. Doesn't really matter here, but we're going to go for another dominating vampire. We're going to take the Bloodtide Harvester. We'll go ahead and put you back in the hand because you give treasure tokens out. So we'll go ahead and take you. And this does have haste. We don't really have any blood tokens, which kind of sucks, but I'm just going to swing in with you because you die anyway. Swinging with you, and I think I'm going to take the Bloodtide the Harvester. Instead of just doing damage, I think we're just going to sacrifice it and just do 0. But we're just annoying, I guess. So unfortunately, yeah, I think I am going to do another Soul Steeper here. We do have to discard, but I don't really care. We have 89 life here. We could have gone infinite, but again, we do kind of need to get to the point at some points, so I guess we'll go ahead and just do this. I didn't even really think about what I discarded there, but it doesn't really matter here. They're not going to be out. They just finally give it up. Good game. Lanuar Elf, how you doing here? Let's go ahead and keep this. So this is a good hand. Anytime you've got a Goblin Trapfinder and some sort of sacrifice outlet, you've started off pretty good here. That's like half the battle. So let's waste absolutely no time. Let's go for the Goblin Trapfinder here. This is so deadly here because now we do have 2 Ominous Travelers in our hand. You do want those in the deck because you want the Ominous Traveler or the Archlich to become cheaper. That is kind of how you win the game here. So let's go for Forsaken Crossroads, call out black, and we're going to untap this. Because they are playing blue, I'm going to actually cast this right now, because I don't want them to like Jawari or divide by 0. So let's go ahead and do this. That way we know this is getting resolved and life should be good. So there we go. There's an A-Acererak? I don't know. A-Acererak is going to come out into play here, and this becomes, do we want... Pretty weird scenario here. I think we are going to play this. We're going to pop the blood token here, or the treasure token here. Now, it does at the end of the beginning of the end step. We do have to sacrifice it, but it just bounces to our hand anyway. So I'm going to actually take a scry here. I want a Racketeer Boss. So Village Rites, we're going to go and get rid of that. We do not need that. And we do have to discard a card. I'm not really that worried about this. We're going to get rid of an Ominous Traveler. The Ominous Traveler, we really do want to have it for free. I mean, having it for 2 is not that bad, but we do need a Racketeer Boss. Let's go ahead and drop this green. Go for the Prosperous Innkeeper. That way we can still play around a Jawari. So we can go ahead and play this without fear of the Jawari. And, you know, like I said, we can set up for the Birgi, but if we just go for Birgi right now, that is a little bit fragile. So always want to create a treasure token. Treasure tokens sound pretty good to me. We do get to gain a little bit of life here. And here's the thing. Like, what do we want to do here? I guess we'll just go for Ominous Traveler. We at least bait out their either counterspell or removal. Again, the Traveler, typically, you need it with Tainted Intelligence. Okay. So with the Ominous Traveler, what you want to do with it is typically you want to use it on Racketeer Boss so that you're gaining an additional treasure, or you want to have it out with Birgi, or you want, you know, something, make it free with the Trapfinder. So this is not really the best of cards here. You typically just want the cheapest thing. So I guess we'll just take the Headless Rider because this is control. This is a zombie as well. So I guess the Headless Rider does make sense in that regard. The Tasha is not that threatening here because I'm not really planning on attacking anyway.
Keep your distance, mortals.
Keep your distance, she says. Oh, the Wicked Witch. Yeah, like I said, I'm not really planning on attacking, so I don't really mind that much, so... Okay. What do we want to do here? I mean... Let's go for Birgi here. If they have some point of removal, it just is what it is. We can go for the Village Rites. I think we want to keep the Village Rites. I think we just say go here because we're not attacking, obviously, with Tasha. If we play this, then we can't play the Village Rites, and we're not really ready to combo, so I think we just play it cool for now. We really want to get into an unstoppable loop here. This +1, again, we're not attacking.
Don't come any closer.
No, hey, I won't come any closer. Don't you worry about that, Tasha. So Undercity Plunder, we're going to go ahead and give them... I guess we're going to give them the Headless Rider. Yeah, sure, and we're going to decline here. The reason I don't care about declining, the Undercity Plunder is not that amazing to them. For us, it's a good for us, because we don't really care. Like, if you want to... They're not going to be able to use, like, our cards effectively at all, so I don't really care about giving them our cards. Pass, and what do we want to do here? We can go for Village Rites. I think we probably want to. Now that we got rid of the Headless Rider, the Ominous Traveler, you know, we might as well do this. So if they've got, like, Jawari, again, we're tapped out here. So if they have... Okay, they don't. That's nice. Now we get a Racketeer Boss. Now we're starting to cook with oil, cook with fire, whatever you want to call it. This is what this deck is all about, and we are about to go maximum toxicity on them. So let's go for Racketeer Boss. If we can play this on the Archlich and the Traveler here, that is going to be just insane. If this resolves... Oh, it resolves, baby. Oh, goodness. So now we got the Racketeer Boss, and they just give it up. They know that the unstoppable loop is coming. Pack Climber, how's it going? We have some history, Pack Climber. I know I've called you Pac-Man, and I'm not gonna stop because you are Pac-Man to a T. So, I mean, this is a pretty dynamite hand. As long as you got, we don't have a way to kill the Trapfinder with like a Deadly Dispute or a Righteous, the Village card. What can I think of it? Either way, let's go for this, and I think we're just gonna drop this for red. I want to get the Trapfinder online as soon as possible. We can go for a Proving Ground, but I don't really want to play the Ominous Traveler first anyway. So I don't know. It is what it is. So we're going against Azorius Control. No, this is actually Esper Dungeon, and dungeons are pretty good, but I still think they're lacking. Obviously, with Alchemy, of course, you have to remember that this is a buffed up version because of the dungeons, but I like it. I do. Let's call out green here. A lot of people are not a fan of buffing up the random like elves and equipment and whatnot, but I have to disagree. I think that it is overall pretty good for the game when more things are competitive. I guess that's my personal philosophical approach to the game. I do think more things should be competitive. When you've got like one or two decks that dominate a format, personally, I think that is garbage. So I think that overall, Alchemy is kind of weak right now because of this reason. I'm not going to swing with the Trapfinder, it can just bounce off the Gargoyle. Plus, if we block with the Trapfinder, we can get something for free and use some Cabaretti Revels nonsense. The Precipitous drop is unfortunate. They're going to die, and they get a free venture. And now the Hama Fashar is going to make them venture 2 different times, which is pretty unfortunate. So they don't do it, they don't go into 2 rooms, rather, but they get each ability that goes off 2 times. And this Cloister Gargoyle, you know, Cloister is a Pokemon. I'm not quite the fan of Pokemon on this channel here, but that's not what we're about. So let's go for the Proving Ground. You do have to play this down. Almost 9 times out of 10 you want to get this down early, but maybe I've been steamrolled by aggro too many times. I think this is a pretty dynamite move here. Let's go for the Prosperous Innkeeper. We do get a treasure token this way, and then we're going to get a Racketeer Boss, and because we already have a Racketeer Boss, these abilities actually stack, which is literally just insane. So we're going to play down our second Racketeer Boss. And this card is pretty toxic, I'm not going to lie to you. I think this card is probably one of the reasons why this deck is so consistent. So we're going to go ahead and give both of our A-Acererak and Ominous Traveler 2... Look at this. When you cast a spell, create a treasure token times 2. And that is just insane. We'll just go ahead and hold off. Again, this Gargoyle can just bounce us, so there's no point in attacking. But we're going to be able to get out 3 Ominous Travelers. Because we get 2 treasure tokens and they cost 2. Just toxicity at its absolute peak. I mean, the Cloister Gargoyle is going to be able to do some damage here, but we're not really worried. We got Prosperous Innkeeper for life gain. So, not really that threatened here. And now that we do have the Cabaretti Revels established, they have to be kind of sweating here. So another drop. 2 bosses take the drop. So 2 bosses, 2 drops. No big deal here. We do go into the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So they're just looking for the long game here. And they just pass. Wow, that is not going to be good for them. Because now, look at this. The world is absolutely our oyster here. We can go for the Archlich, or we can go for the Ominous Traveler here. I'm gonna go for the Archlich here because we have Cabaretti Revels out. I do want to get into our 2 drops from the Revels. This is a 2-drop itself, so we don't get any of those 2 drops. The only thing we can get from the Traveler is a Goblin Trapfinder. We snag our Dina, the Soul Steeper, and this is one of our win conditions here. With the Prosperous Innkeeper, we can just keep sipping on their life for eternity, essentially. So now Vanishing Verse is going to take away... Okay, no big deal here. Well, it doesn't really matter here. We could be cute here and sacrifice it, but it doesn't really do any good. So at this point, you know, I guess we'll just go into Dungeon of the Mad Mage. There's going to be 2 Dungeon of the Mad Mages going on, and we'll get a little bit of a peek here. Let's go for our Ominous Traveler here, because we don't have 1 potential loop. We've got 2. And it's just insane here. They can't go for a Vanishing Verse on the Ominous Traveler because it's not colored. And now we get 2 treasure tokens for all of this Ominous Traveler here. I think we're going to get our last Goblin Trapfinder. I don't think we had another one. So that's the only other 1-drop in our deck. So we already know what we're getting with the Cabaretti Revels. So I don't think that they're salty roping. I mean, I think it could be. I don't really blame you. This deck is pretty toxic and does tend to bring out the salt within our opponents. But like I said, this deck is absolutely pretty brutal here. In best of 1, I think this is tier 0. Or, well, I can't call it tier 0. I think Esper is kind of up there. If you are running Esper, yeah, I mean, Esper can definitely roll with it. Esper can roll with it, especially if you're running the Skyclave Apparitions to get rid of the Revels and the Void. I don't know, I'm still kind of on the Void rend is kind of decent here. So it appears our opponent is salty roping, but you know, it is what it is. I get it. It is what it is. When you play this toxic deck, I mean, my opinion on this type of deck here is never to blame the player. It's usually to blame Wizards. So it's like, I don't know, if everyone just started playing this on the ranked queue, hopefully the Wizards would adjust. So that's just kind of my... That's always just been my point of view. It's never the player's fault. It's always just the Wizards' fault for allowing this to happen. And hopefully they can get rid of this soon because it does suck. But nevertheless, you see how this kind of works here. I guess we'll definitely get rid of our land here. And I'm going to all-out swing. We're going to keep the Innkeeper just because it keeps up the Soul Sweeper here. And it appears that our opponent is not playing. And again, it just brings out the salt in everybody. But I understand. Personally, I would not be playing best of 1 until this kind of gets solved because it's just too toxic. Oh, we are at maximum toxicity. We are sipping on our opponent's salty tears. So that is going to conclude it for that. And let's go ahead and just finish this off. We're going to go for the Ominous Traveler here. Just going to continue doing what we do best, being toxic with this. We can go unlimited, not right now. I guess we'll go for the Dominating Vampire. We'll go ahead and just keep that for a later date. Nah, we're not keeping it for a later date. Let's go ahead and do this. Typically, you just want the cheapest thing with the Ominous Traveler here, but I do kind of like this thing because it does give you cheaper stuff. So we do have another Vampire, and if we got 2 Dominating Vampires here, we're going to be able to, yeah, well, sure. Doesn't really matter for right now. I guess we'll go ahead and play this. We'll go for Ominous Traveler here. So we didn't really get like the unstoppable loop here, but we did get a very annoying loop here. I'm just going to take all the Dominating Vampires here, and I think that they're just tapped out. We're going to go ahead and just swing. If they are there now, that'd be kind of funny, just because now they could just block here. I got a little bit lazy. I think I'm just kind of assuming that they're roping here, just so we can swing in here. Because, I mean, if they take out the Prosperous Innkeeper... Oh, so they are there. They are there. So at this point, I think I'm going to start being a little cocky. I mean, like, you know what? Like, you kind of roped us out a few times. Like, I understand that deck is toxic. So they're being toxic back. I mean, it is what it is. So we should not have swung in with the Prosperous Innkeeper. We will do enough damage here. The thing is we do have 2 more Dominating Vampires for a total of 3, and I don't think it's going to matter here. Like, whatever they play, I just don't think it's really going to matter anyway. So, probably should have held back on our Dina and a Prosperous Innkeeper, but outside of, like, a Farewell, I don't think it really matters here, and I don't think this deck is really running Farewell. So, Nadar comes out here. We're going to be nice. Yeah, whatever. They roped us, so... Whenever the opponent kind of does something like this, I'm fine. Let's be toxic. We're already being toxic with the most toxic deck ever. So we might as well do this. Like I said, we do have these Dominating Vampires, so worst case scenario, we can give something haste and just swing in on their own face. But I don't think we'll get the ability with this Gargoyle here because we have not completed a dungeon. Well, yet. Fate's Reversal. So what are they going to get? They have nothing into the graveyard here. I think they just want to get into more Dungeon of the Mad Mage nonsense. And they're going to go for Dungeon Descent again. So what are they going to do? Are they going to go for the Runestone Caverns? So just some scry action. So they're going to do some, what, scry 4 essentially? Okay. So they like one of those cards here. I mean, we still have enough. Like, we're not even really an aggro deck, but we're gonna play out next turn. We're gonna swing all, especially with taking something from the dominating vampire, and we'll go ahead and give him one last nice.